So out here, I did want to share with you guys that Houdini is back out here with all of her friends. She's right here. This is our new little rooster. We got him from friends. But here's our beautiful little flock. It's Megan. Welcome back here to the Wolterman Homestead. I hope you enjoyed watching us do some morning chores this morning. It has been a dreary, cold day. And so I got a cup of coffee and I curled up in bed, and I've been spending some time just reading my Bible. So I have the She Reads Truth Bible. I actually picked it up at Hobby Lobby. It was just sitting on an end cap and it just called my name, and I picked it up and I fell in love with it and I brought it home. But so part of one of the goals that I have for 2021 this year is to have more patience. Have more patience. You know, having two kids under like the age of 5, at least 5, like it's a lot. And being a homeschooling mom, a stay-at-home mom, it can be exhausting and overwhelming. And patience, patience was just something that I've been praying for since like December. And so about mid to end December, I just decided that I wanted to sit down and read my Bible. I am a Christian, but I am not a Christian that has just sat down and read the entire Bible. You know, I've read chapters here and there, and, you know, we do church every Sunday, but I've just never sat down and read the entire thing. Because it's just a lot, and it's a lot to digest and those types of things. And so I just decided, I've read the New Testament several times, but I've never necessarily gone through and read the Old Testament. And, you know, if you don't know anything about the Old Testament, it's a lot of like laws and things that God asks you to do. And, you know, when Jesus died on the cross, things kind of started over. The veil ripped in the tabernacle and things just changed. And so some of the laws and the sacrifices and things, you know, Jesus made the ultimate sacrifice. And so those things aren't necessarily needed anymore. And so, and they're very strict. And then it's just started over. And so in reading all of these things, it was like light bulb. And I have to laugh because, I mean, I was just blown away. Like, been praying for patience. And then I read through Exodus. And if you're not familiar with the story of Exodus, it basically is about the story of Moses and the Israelite people after God helps them flee and escape from the land of Egypt and from the Pharisees and the Pharaohs and being like prisoners there and slaves. So in Exodus, you know, God parts the water of the Red Sea and the people are able to escape it. God is constantly giving and providing things that are asked of him the entire book of Exodus and in through Numbers. And then I am now currently in Deuteronomy, but he just is always giving. In Exodus chapter 16, they're hungry. They're out in the wilderness, and they are actually in the wilderness for 40 years. 40 years is a really long time. Imagine the generations that passed in the 40 years. And so the people are hungry, and so they cry out, and God provides them water, and he provides them manna and quail. So manna was like a bread type substance that they could use to bake. And so God provides that. And he says, you know, when the things that he gives, he also says, hey, can you not do this? Or, hey, could you do this? but they don't ever listen to it. They don't ever listen to it. And for me, I have to laugh and smile because that's like being a mom. You know, how many times do you ask your kids to do something? Do they do it? You know, do you have to ask your kid 1,000 times? Then by the 10th time, you're just like, ah! You know, God was the exact same thing. Same way with these people, but he always found forgiveness, grace, and patience. So like, God on the 6th day, he says, hey, tomorrow's the Sabbath. Harvest what you need, bake what you need, boil what you need, fix what you're going to need, because tomorrow is a day of rest, and I don't want you to necessarily work. I don't want to work. It just is a day of rest. And so the 7th day comes, and they like take him for granted. And the 7th day is there, and they're screaming, and they're yelling, and they're mad. Are you going to let us starve? Like, but they had eaten the day before. And so it's just, you know, God is like, I gave you instructions. Why can't you follow them? And I mean, like I said, they traveled for 40 years in the wilderness, and then they ate manna most of the time during this wilderness. They had people attack them, but God always helped them overcome. Any trial or tribulation, he helped them overcome. And then in Exodus, you're in chapter 32, God asks Moses to go up Mount Sinai to get the 10 commandments from him. And while Moses is on this mountain, the people saw that Moses was delayed from coming down the mountain. So they gathered around Aaron and said to him, come and make us gods for us, and we will go before them, because this Moses, this man that has brought us out of Egypt, we don't know what has happened to him. And so they make a big false golden god. And Moses is on the mountain with the Lord, and God says, what is the sound of war in the camp? And Moses replies, it's not a sound of victory, he said, and it's not a sound of cry of defeat, but I hear the sound of singing. And so Moses goes down to the mountain and sees what the people have done. And like in movies and things, it shows that like the earth opens up and it eats the people. That does not happen anywhere in the Bible. That is not a biblical thing. That is just like TV. But Moses goes down on the mountain, and he's so disappointed and so sad that they've done this. And he says, you know, you need to destroy these things. It is not right when you serve one God but then worship another. And so Moses cries out to the Lord, and he says, you know, oh, these people have committed a grave sin, and they have made a golden god for themselves. Now, if only you would forgive their sins, but if not, please erase me from the book that you have written. And God replies, whoever has sinned against me, I will erase from my book. Go ahead now and lead the people to the place that I have told you about. My angel will go before you. So again, God's forgiving. God is providing grace and patience to these people that created a fake God created a fake God. I mean, it was a golden cow. So as I'm reading through this, I was always curious, you know, how many Israelites was Moses in charge of? You know, I'm in charge of 2 kids, and sometimes they stress me out. And so in Numbers, it is chapter 1. It lists them biblically in the 12 tribes, and it ends up coming to 603,550 people is what Moses was a part of and led the way. Like, can you imagine being ahead of all of those people and trying to make decisions and help all of these people? And they continue to rebel against you and continue to not listen. Like, the amount of patience, the amount of grace, and the amount of forgiveness is just incredible. So then if you keep reading into Numbers, they start complaining again. And they complain to God about their hardships and say, oh, it's so hard. But the whole time, God is either in a pillar of fire at night, or he's in a pillar of smoke during the day. So like, they know he's always there. Visibly, they can see his presence every single day. And so again, they complain about food. So then God brings manna, and they have manna. But then that's not good enough for them. It's not. They cry out, oh, we want meat. We want meat. We don't want to eat this manna anymore. And so Moses is frustrated. And so Moses cries out to God, and he says, I can't carry these people all by myself. They are too much for me. If you are going to treat me like this, go ahead and kill me. Now, if I have ever found favor in you, don't let me see this misery. And so God hears what Moses says. And then Numbers chapter 11, verse 31, a wind is sent nearby, and a wind sent by the Lord nearby came up and blew quail from in the sea, and they dropped them all around the camp. So then they had meat to eat. So what they were yelling for, God provided for them. And so then they're finally, about the 40-year mark, they are almost to the land that God promised them, the land flowing of milk and honey. And they're scouting out Canaan in Numbers chapter 13. And so the men went to Moses. This is verse 26. The men went back to Moses and Aaron and the entire Israelite community. They gave a report, and they said, "We went into the land where you sent us. Indeed, it is flowing with milk and honey, and there is some fruit. However, the people that live there are very strong, and their cities are so fortified, and they're large. We also saw the descendants of Anak," I'm probably not saying that right, "that live there." So anywhere that I've looked in the Bible, these people have great big fortified cities. There are a lot of them, and they're just very intimidating. And so these people are just nervous, and they are afraid. They're nervous and afraid. And instead of just trusting God, who's led them for 40 years, has provided for them, they have visibly been able to see him, they have had Moses to help direct them, they say, "Oh no, we can't do it." They complain again. Chapter 14 in Numbers, all the Israelites complained about Moses and Aaron. The whole community told them, "If we had only died in the land of Egypt, or if we had only died in this wilderness, why is the Lord bringing us to this land to die by the sword? Wouldn't it be better if we just go back to Egypt?" Like, why couldn't they have just listened and just trusted and had some patience? And so Moses is just so frustrated. And so Moses says to God, "How long will these people despise me? How long will they not trust me, despite all of the signs that I have performed for them?" Then God is just disappointed, and he's frustrated. And Moses says to him, chapter 14, verse 15, "If you kill these people in a single blow, then nations around heard your fame and will declare, since the Lord wasn't able to bring the people to the land that he swore to give them, he has slaughtered them in the wilderness. So now may my Lord's power be magnified, just as you have spoken." Here's the key. This verse is what just was profound for me. "The Lord is slow to anger and abounding in faithful love and forgiveness, but he will not leave the guilty unpunished." And then it goes on, and the Lord responds to Moses, and he says, "I have pardoned them as you have requested." So basically, to wrap it all up, my Bible has these little inserts. You can see on my little tabs. But it has these little inserts. And so this one is Grace for the Guilty. And it talks about how Moses didn't attempt to qualify their sin. He didn't attempt to come up with any more excuses for them. He was tired of it. Instead, he focused on his faith, on the flawless character of God, and pointed to the glory at stake in the ultimate outcome. He recalled on what he knew to be true about the one he served. That again, the Lord is slow to anger and abounding in faithful love and forgiveness. So in all of that, reading several books through the beginning of the Bible, praying and asking for patience, this is what I found. And this for me was just light bulb to the fact that Moses had patience with all of those people. Over 600,000 people. He had patience for those. And he had the patience to listen, and he had the patience and the forgiveness for all of these people and to still continue to listen to what God asked of him. And so that's kind of what I'm going to build this year on. The patience and forgiveness, and to be slow to anger and abounding in faithful love, and to forgive. Because if our God can forgive, we can forgive too. So that is kind of my message today, and the verse kind of for the year, that the Lord is slow to anger and abounding in faithful love, and abounding in faithful love in forgiveness. So I want to thank you for spending the day here at the Wolterman Homestead with me, doing some chores and listening to this Bible devotion that I felt like God had placed on my heart. I hope you are doing well, and as always, take care and God bless.